Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of March 10th. And this week, it's a busy week. We have got the eclipse happening this week. We have got Mercury stationing retrograde in the vibration of Aries as well. Just in general, energetically, it is a pretty sound and busy month. We've got Venus retrograde. We've got the other eclipse that's going to be happening in Aries. So there's just a lot of energy and intensity that has been floating up. And so if you're feeling some of that, I want to let you know that first of all, we've got the Venus playlist that's put together to help you really take advantage of this Venus retrograde, but slow down, come into your own juiciness, see what stories are maybe unfolding. But also I've got a beautiful new interview coming up with our medical astrologer, Kira Sutherland, talking about how you can go to the Venusian energy to help regulate your nervous system, because there is just a lot of energy floating around out there. So I want you guys to be able to have the very best life, body, astrological experience that is available. So I will make sure that there is a link to that particular interview at the end, or I'll put the video at the end, and I'll make sure that there's a link to the entire playlist in the description box down below. Now, for those of you, before we get into this packed intensity week that we've got going on, who have not jumped in to the Venus Reset program, I really encourage you to do so with all this Venusian energy around. Again, coming back to yourself, releasing the hips, releasing that sacred tailbone. I can't even not move while I'm talking about it because it just feels so good. It feels so relaxing. The system's coming back to ground. There is still time for you to take advantage of that course. You can do it anytime. You know, you have access to it for life. So that's in the description box down below. All right, let's get in here and talk about what this week has got going on, and the timestamps are in the description box down below. So like I said, this week is packed with a lot of energy because we've got an eclipse, which is going to also give us a place where we've got a turning point. And if you haven't watched your full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo video, feel free to check it out. And yeah, thank you guys for picking up on the fact that I had my yogurt and my kiwis, which was actually quite unintentional, but it was very Taurian. In the end, I thought, yep, that makes a lot of sense, you know? So thanks for seeing the kiwis. But if you haven't had a chance to check out that video, I'll click it into the playlist as well. But as we're going to experience this eclipse coming on this week, that energy is already in and surrounding us. We can already feel it. We already feel this sense of we need to clean up our routine, or Virgo, we need to, especially in conjunction with having the sun in conjunction with Saturn, having the sun in conjunction with Neptune, having the sun in conjunction with the nodes, we feel like there's some kind of structure that we need to get reorganized, or we don't have power over, but we're not exactly sure where to go next towards that north node. So we're having to trust our intuition a lot more. And so this question, even before we get to the 14th, of what is starting to show up in your life where it's like, hold on, this needs restructuring, or this has just run its course, so it's about to be done. So as we're jumping into this week, I want you kind of thinking about that and feel through even your intuition, feel through your body to see what is starting to ring true for you that's kind of trying to get your attention. And of course, the best astrology is your astrology. So grab your chart and see where that 23 degrees of Virgo is at, because that is the place that's going to be calling for your attention. Now, coming into the week on Monday, we've got the moon traveling through the vibration of Leo, so it's a bit playful. We're actually coming in this week with a lovely, playful energy. The moon is in a wonderful position, talking to Mercury, talking to Venus over here. We've got a really nice sextile, it looks like, going here with Jupiter as well. So it's a lovely, playful day as we're coming into Monday. And I like it because it's like the moon, something in you is like, I want to shine. You know, I want to shine. I want to do my own thing. I want to take on the world in my own way. It's very much so that energy. Now, where I think that we have a little bit of challenge that comes in is that we're going to see the moon is also in opposition to Pluto that's over in Aquarius. And this energy challenges us between the me and the we, right? The way I want to shine and be seen, and what is my joy and what is my vibe, versus the collective. What is the collective desire as well? So if you're traveling on Monday and you're feeling that sense, or you're more heightened aware to the power struggle that could be going on, especially emotionally, just step back. Let's take a look at the bigger picture for just a minute. You know, and one of the questions that I would ask when we get into this kind of opposition, right, is where are you being too set in having something your way? right? You're like, nope, this is what it is. This is what it has to be, as opposed to having, you know, a little bit of integration. Where can you come this way a little bit from Pluto, come this way a little bit from the moon? Because if not, if there's no integration, it can be frustrating instead of a fun, yummy, delicious, playful day that we've got available. So I just want to hand you an example so you have something to think about here. But let's say you're doing a group project, or you're working on something and you've really put in a fair amount of work on it, or you feel like your work is being overshadowed in some way, or it's not being seen. This can cause a lot of frustration. So instead here of feeling like you need to fight for your spot in the sunshine, looking at where can you be collaborative, but also use your voice by saying, you know, I'm actually working on this piece for all of us, but I am doing this. How can you bridge that to be collaborative instead of just looking for that space of spotlight and feeling like you need to fight for everything? Now, Monday's going to be a really great day to bring in some of those fire herbs, with the moon being in Leo. So we've got some nice cinnamon on the table. I do like Leo. When I think about Leo's energy, I like lemons. I just really do like lemons. It's a little bit bitter. I understand that, but I think that it is a tasty treat. Okay, here on Tuesday on the 11th, now we've got the moon in this square to Uranus. It's going to square to Uranus right before it goes void, of course, in the afternoon. So we'll see the moon step into a void of course position at 4:54 p.m. And again, this is Colorado time. And don't forget about daylight savings time if you observe that in your area. And then later in the day, we'll see Mercury come nice and tightly into this conjunction here with Venus. Venus is already retrograde at this point. Mercury is not. So they're going to come into this conjunction together here in Aries just after the moon goes void of course. So when we're dealing with the moon Uranus, first of all, anytime Uranus shows up on the scenes, we need to practice some flexibility, because a change of pace, a change of direction, a change of scenery, something unpredictable can be coming to the table. And as this is a lunar energy, we're going to come more into the emotional space. And so what this can do sometimes is the moon also governs the people. So here on Tuesday, if you're seeing more impulse, or you're feeling like people are more impulse, or people are more disruptive, if you have more disruptive thoughts or disruptive emotions that present themselves, this would be quite normal for this energy. Now, that is the square that's going to happen right before the moon goes void of course until 1:55 a.m. Okay, so when you're experiencing this void of course time, take what you saw when the moon squared Uranus. What did it disrupt for you? It made you look at something, think about something different, get a different perspective, detach from an emotion a little bit and say, okay, hold on, where can I see this differently, right? And then you can take that into the void of course. Remember, there's a space and a time to rest in that void of course energy. Now, as we're experiencing that Venus and Mercury conjunction, I love these two coming together for this dance, because they never travel too far from the sun anyway. So they're kind of travel mates in their own way. And they give us an opportunity here to really embrace, first of all, the current thoughts. What is your current thought process? What is your current beliefs about yourself, your identity, the things that you're fighting for, right? Your body, your physicality. Now, Venus is retrograde here as they come together. So Venus is actually flashing back and saying, hold on, here's what we valued before. Does this still kind of make sense? So right before Mercury's getting ready to come into its retrograde, they're having this little chat about what's going to need to be brought into the retrograde for some review. And it may be really unpredictable, right? Coming from that moon and Uranus energy, you're like, well, wait a minute, I'm having this sudden emotional shift and I don't think that I value that so much anymore, right? There's this unexpected opportunity for me to see something, do something, experience something from a different perspective. Uranus likes freedom, so probably giving you a chance to come to some freedom. And I'm going to be reviewing that as we get ready to go into this retrograde. Now, on the 12th here, we've got the moon done with that void, of course, at 1:55 a.m. It looks like here. Is that 1:55? Yeah, about 1:50 a.m.-ish right then. We'll see that the moon now shifts from that void of course position into the vibration of Virgo. And then we will also see that there is a Sun-Saturn conjunction here in Pisces. I love this. Okay, so Wednesday becomes a bit more serious for us. As the moon comes into an earth energy, we get a bit more grounded, so we get a bit more serious. It's like, what can I touch? What can I organize? What can I get my hands on to actually improve or make some kind of progress with? However, while there's this organization and this productivity and making things better, the Sun-Saturn conjunction actually is what I think emphasizes our discipline for the day. It's like you need to be disciplined. You have to come to a space of realism, right? Where do you have to get real about something? Where is there accountability for what's actually going on, right? Now, this is great in a personal way when we're looking into our lives saying, okay, where can I be disciplined, take accountability, and like maybe have a little reality check on something. But depending on where this area of your chart is, where Pisces is at in your chart, this may be where you're applying these ideas as well. And sometimes what Saturn brings in is the ability to take accountability by putting your hand up and being recognized, right? Or someone is recognizing you for what you have done really well. They're recognizing your authority. So a great way to work with Wednesday as a whole, no matter where it's happening for you, is to, first of all, prioritize creating some kind of structure or looking at your structure, especially things that are long-term goals, long-term plans or desires that will require a fair amount of discipline for you. If you need to make a list of things that you need to do, if you need to make an inventory, if you need to, whatever you need to make a list for, Virgo likes that list. And go ahead and make that list so that you can see where you need to also be disciplined enough to set some boundaries in your life in order to tackle what is important to you, okay? So that's a really great energy on the vibe here on, did I say on Wednesday? Yes. Now on Thursday, here we are, on Friday, here we are. We are keyed up for this eclipse. Now, we've already been in the vibration. Many of you who are very lunar sensitive or really just tapped in to the lunar cycle for yourself have already been feeling it, already been feeling that, woof, what is this? What is this change that's kind of coming in? What is being pulled away? Now, this is a total lunar eclipse, so it's a complete resetting. What this area of your life looks like today as you're going into this. When I see you in the fall, certainly when I see you in the winter, this area of your life won't look like this, okay? So we've got this full moon lunar eclipse. There's other aspects that are going to be involved happening around this as well. But as we're experiencing this eclipse, it is a time to pull away from what is not healthy, what habits are not working for us, what was maybe a story of perfectionism where there's been over perfectionism in some way. And we're looking to go, okay, it's not going to be absolutely perfect every time, all the time. Instead, we need to just look to make things a little bit more efficient. Where can I make a little bit of a plan that's very efficient so that we can move and groove within that energy? But then I've got to do the sun side, and the sun is in conjunction with Saturn. It's in conjunction and close by Neptune over here. So it reminds us that we can't control everything. We just make the plan, and then we have to let go of the outcome. And this is something that I talk about with my spiritual teacher as well, is that I'm not in the business of outcomes, right? Like, I'm going to do the very best I can as a human being, but then that Pisces side is not having faith that everything is going to work out. It's having some trust in the universe that I've set up the circumstances. You will deliver. You will deliver. And you'll deliver because I get it, right? I get to have that. I am worthy. I am deserving of it. I have created the space for it. So what does this mean to you as you hear me say this about this eclipse? You know, when you're thinking about how is it easy for you to hear me say that, and you're like, yes, I absolutely believe and trust that the universe will provide. Should I do my side, right? Or does this feel like it heightens your emotions and it kind of kicks in for you? This is a great place to start exploring this particular eclipse and seeing how it shifts for you over this next 6 months. Now, this is also, because it's a total eclipse, this could be karmic endings, right? The south node is involved, karmic endings. What is leaving? Micromanaging, outdated habits, that perfectionism, no. What is happening in your body that it's literally like, I am not in control here and I'm having to surrender. Maybe you're even having to surrender to something that is like a craving that you've honestly been having in your body, in your being, about creativity. And you're needing to go more towards that Pisces North Node side and enjoy that creative energy and kind of just, let it fly. Let it fly for the best use of the word that I can come up with at the moment. Now, behind that, we're going to see that the sun is in a sextile to Uranus, and this is always interesting because new people, new ideas, new events, something new just like pops in. Right? It just pops in. So in this Pisces vibration, this could be something that's a really personal breakthrough. And I do think it has to do with hearing the call from your heart, hearing the call from that creativity, and having to surrender a bit more to this Virgo side where it's like, listen, maybe what you find out is that you've been wearing a lot of beige, but you are really committed to chartreuse. It can be something, I'm being funny with you, but it can be something seriously. But the point is that your heart knows, your heart lifted knows what it is that your being is craving. So going towards it, I think is going to be the best day here, Friday. Okay, when we get to Saturday, here we go. We've got Mercury into and ready for its retrograde. Now, Mercury's taking the retrograde here in Aries. So you want to go to your chart to 9 degrees of Aries. Okay, look at where this is at in your chart, and you're going to be tracking all the way from 9 degrees of Aries to 26 degrees of Pisces. And again, I want to really encourage you to watch the interview that I did for the Venus retrograde with Nicholas Palomanakis, because in that interview, we specifically talk about how many things come over these particular points between Aries and Pisces that we're going to be working with and going to be healing out, okay? But as we see Mercury take this retrograde between those degrees, the first part is in Aries. So it adds some fuel to some intensity that's already happening this week. Now, where I think it's brilliant is that it also gives us an opportunity to hear back on some things. If you put a job resume out, you had an opportunity, you were waiting for something to come back, the Mercury retrograde may bring it back. Things happening in the news, in the government, with business, you'll start to hear back like what things could potentially be next, or they're under review. Now, between human beings, what it can cause is a little bit of conflict. This is Aries, so we can have a bit more impulsive speech. Mars is still out of retrograde until we get into April 7th. So this can genuinely be like you fire, or people are spitting fire from their words, and then we're going to have to back those off later. Check your technological devices, and anything that comes up to you, I would treat it as an invitation to rethink your thinking, rethink that contract, rethink that decision, rethink that conversation. The exes, the jobs, all of these things, we can find them starting to come back, and they're coming back for a review. Now, something else that's very, very practical, and I like practicality, is during this Mercury retrograde, you can just go back to things that need to be done. Go send that email that's been waiting for your response. Go, finish up that paper that needed to be worked on. If you needed to go into that back bedroom and go through that box or look through your clothes, go back to things that you need to do. And you're going to do it with a little bit more physicality because of Aries, and be a little bit more bold about how it is that you're getting it done. So if you've been looking to make a decision, you need a definite yes or no, and it has to happen at a time that is during this Mercury retrograde, give it a go. Trust your intuition, North Node in Pisces, and then be bold enough to make the decision. Okay, as we come around to Sunday and we are going to wrap up this week, first of all, we're coming in and the moon has shifted into late on. Yeah, we're seeing the moon early on, I guess I should say. It's about 4 a.m. Here we're seeing the moon come into a square with Mars before it's going to step into its void of course. And this can be really frustrating. Now, if you are awake, first of all, this last aspect gives us kind of the fuel that we'll take into the void of course. And the void of course is a bit long. So Moon square Mars can be frustrating. There's something, it's like there's emotional tension, or you're irritable, or you're being really short-tempered about something, or the people around you feel a bit more triggered and impulsive themselves, right? And it's coming from an emotional place, or you see people get defensive. So on Sunday, one of the things I would say is, remember, Mercury just went retrograde, so don't force conversation. Don't force conversation. If somebody is giving you the signal to back off, or if you're heading into a conversation and your pelvic bowl or your head is saying, no, I'm not having this conversation, right? Just back off a little bit. Back off. This is not the place to make rash decisions, to use a lot of force, but instead try and find a healthy outlet for whatever is frustrating you, or maybe even to get to the bottom of it. You know, let's say you go in and you are annoyed with your partner or you're annoyed with a coworker, okay? It's probably going to be about something small, you know, and that's that small thing, maybe just telling you what's really going on with you, or maybe showing you the symptom of a bigger problem that is what you'll be the thing you actually get down to those roots and address. But instead of escalating it this day because they did not put the stapler back, are we using paper at work still? Okay, so because they didn't put the stapler back, put the stapler back, leave it there, whatever it is, but just walk away and return to the situation with a clearer head. That is going to be to your benefit. All right, beautiful friends. So to wrap up, we've got the eclipse energy. It is here. It is happening this week. Mercury is going to be retrograding in Aries. Saturn is going to demand some responsibility for us this week, but it is a week where there's a lot of transformation and shifts of the corner coming for us. So trust the process this week. You're doing a great job. You showed up for a weekly horoscope, which means you're already investing in yourself, in your energy, and that makes you and the world a little bit of a better place. And I love that for us. All right, check out this video here to check out the Venus playlist that I've got going for you, and check out this other video here because I think it's the next best place to go. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.